To replicate the real-time situation, we are supposed to also create connections wherein the connections that we are going to use here is a bolt connection. So to create a bolt connection, we'll go and select bolts, select this edge, and then this is by default named as bolt 1. There are actually other 3 bolts, so we'll have to go and give assign stiffness, which is axial stiffness and shear stiffness. This axial and shear stiffness is nothing but the stiffness of the bolt with respect to the axis of the hole, and as well as when the component tries to translate in any of these two directions, what is the resistance. Okay. Now we have other 3 holes wherein again we will have to assign 3 more bolts with the same property. So I go and double click on connections, and then I get this particular information that I've already done for bolt 1. So to add multiple bolts, I can go and select bolt duplication. I give find bolts, so the other 3 holes are detected, and then automatically the bolts with the same stiffness are also assigned. Now the bolt connection is done. Now we'll come to loads, wherein loads are nothing but it could be in terms of pressure, it could be a gravity, it could be a force, or whatever it is. And when it comes to this particular component, the load which is exerted is to be considered as a bearing load. So I go with a bearing load, select this as the surface, and then apply force in x direction, which I would like to go with 25,000 newtons. Okay, and then okay. Again, I will create another bearing load, which is in a different direction, which is in y direction, which is again I would say 40,980 newtons. Okay, so the 2 bearing loads are applied, and these loads are nothing but when you have a pin inside and then a pivot pin, and then you have an arm which can swing from this surface to this surface. So this is the type of force. So we have assigned that force here in terms of bearing load. Next is restraints. So what is restraint? So already these bolt connections are nothing but it's a kind of restraint. So it won't allow this part to move in any of the other 2 directions, or let's say even in 3 directions. Okay. But other than that, there is something known as restraint, which is again locking the degrees of freedom. So this particular part has an drafted model here, which is basically to position the part, okay, in a precise manner. So we will also try to replicate the same stuff using this fixed displacement option. Select the surface and then say that this has to be restrained in both x and y direction. Okay, so no translation will happen in both x and y direction. Okay, so the boundary conditions are applied, which are nothing but the bolt creation, a restraint at the bottom, as well as the loading condition, which is the bearing load. Even that is also done. Next, we have to create something known as load cases, where this is one very good interesting stuff, where with one input you can create multiple load cases. But then for this simulation, we need basically one load case where I would say restraint to be considered, and as well as bearing load, both bearing loads need to be considered. If I want, I can also create another load case where I would say consider restraint as and bearing load 2 only. Okay, but let's not focus on this, so I go and delete it. We'll have only one linear load. I go and click on OK. Now next thing is to run this simulation, because we have done all the pre-processing. So we'll go and click on this, and then before running the model, there's something known as meshing, which is very important. So what is meshing? So when it comes to meshing, what we are actually doing is that we are trying to break a 3D model into known shapes. Okay, we try to break it into elements and nodes, so that it becomes easy for the solver to consider it for the mathematical uh, calculations. So elements and nodes breaking a component into small known shapes for easy calculation is what known as meshing. So till here it is a 3D model, but then once you mesh it, this 3D model is going to be a mesh. Okay, it is no more a 3D model. In the sense, the geometry will not be carried forward. Geometry is translated in terms of elements and nodes. So for this particular model, software has predicted that the element length can be 3.3 mm, which I am okay with. So I go and click on preview. So this is a meshed model. Okay, this is what is known as a meshed model. The mesh seems to be quite decent, so we'll proceed with this. So I click on OK, and then you have an option to verify, to just check whether whatever you have done till now, which is nothing but starting from model configuration, regions to preserve, the connections that you have given, the loading that you have given, and the restraints, and the meshing that we have done. So is everything fine till now before submitting it to the solver? So if I want, I can go and verify. So basically, if in case if there is any error with the meshing, the solution will of course indicate that, or if there is anything wrong with the boundary conditions, of course even that also will be indicated. So model and scenario checks completed. Now we can go and click on run. This will take little time. So when you click on run, the next step is that we need to select the number of processing cores. Okay, so I by default I go and select 4 numbers of cores. So I click on OK. So these cores are nothing but based upon the complexity of the problem, you can even go and increase the number of cores so that the solving time gets I would say it starts to reduce, and then it all depends upon the complexity. If it's a basic model, we can go with minimal number of cores. If it's a big model, of course we need more number of cores, which I would say for a car crash analysis or an impact analysis, we of course need more number of cores. So these are CPU cores, basically, which does all the processing. Okay. Now this is the status which says that okay, the problem is getting solved. So this is a validation status screen. Okay, so now the run is complete. Now you see beautiful colors on the part. So this is nothing but high to low is represented in terms of colors. The red becomes high and the blue becomes low. Okay, so the red doesn't mean that the component has failed. So we'll have to see that okay, what is that high number, whether the material limits are within the yield, or whether it has entered into plasticity and all the stuff. So the stress strain curve plays a very important role here. So let's go with this failure theory, where we use Voine-Mises as one major the failure prediction stuff. So we go and select okay Voine-Mises, and we see that the stresses, it represents 2.3 e power 8. So this of course falls within our limits. Okay. Now because it is within our limit, or let's say if it exceeds the limit, then you will have to just zoom in, zoom out, and then check okay, which is the area where you need to add more material to make the components stiffer. Okay, so in this case, let's go ahead with optimization, considering that the values are fine. So you can predict Void meshes, you can even predict displacement. So it says that for the given boundary condition and loading condition, it says that there's a maximum of 0.155 mm of displacement at this site. Okay. So there are these things that can be predicted. There are few more stuffs which also can be reaction forces, and there are many more things which you can predict. So these are the advantages over physical testing. So if you want to predict all these things in a physical testing, it is quite impossible. And then even if you want to do such stuff, then you will have to go with lots and lots of I would say sensors, which are again costly. Okay, so we will proceed further. So we'll enter into topology optimization, considering that the void masses are within the yield limits of this material stiffness. So I go and create something known as optimization constraint, where we have different options. Okay, in this to make this as as a simple optimization process, I would first start with thickness control. So I want to control the thickness. Okay, so I would say you have an option of auto, but then let's take a manual control here. So the minimum thickness, there are some criteria why we need to give minimum thickness, and with which we are supposed to compare the minimum thickness. So we know that the element size during the meshing process was 3.3. Okay, so the minimum thickness is always supposed to be like 2 times or 3 times of the minimum element length. So I would go with 8 as a number. So it's all just to explain you how the optimization happens. Okay, so I go and click on OK, and then I again want to add one more I would say the optimization constraint, where I would go with shape control. Where in shape control, see, the reason why I'm including shape control is that we know that this particular component is symmetric from all the sides. Okay, so I don't want the solver to spend too much time to predict, I mean, consider the complete volume. But wherein what I can do is that I can cut this part into 4 quarters and ask the software to consider one particular quarter for easy manipulation, or I would say for easy calculation. So that is what we are going to do here. So I go and create a symmetry constraint. So symmetry control 1, where the plane needs to be selected, which can be either the plane which is visible, or else you can even go and select it from the specification tree. So this is one plane. I also want to add another plane, which is going to be my YZ plane. Okay, so YZ plane, and then OK, and then proceed. Okay. Now that we have given this optimization constraints, if you want more efficient optimization, again you can go and add a few more optimization constraints. So next I'll go with topology optimization. I click on topology optimization. It says, okay, see, by how much do you want to reduce the mass? Okay, what is the mass constraint? Basically, let's start with 15, and then it even gives you an approximate stuff like, okay, this is the amount of body mass which would be the final stuff when compared with the earlier mass. So all these things will be shown in this particular dialog box. Now again, on the mesh options, we have already configured it. Nothing much to change here, so I'll just leave it as it is. Now coming to verify, if anything needs to be verified when it comes to model checkup, you can again do verification, but then let's not do that here, because we know there's nothing much we have done here. So we have just added the optimization constraints. So I go and click on run. This will take a little while. And then again it pops up a screen where it is going to say, okay, how many number of cores you want, and then how many number of cycles you want. So I go with 60. 60 is a huge number here, the number of cycles are more, but then okay, anyway, let's go with 60. And then in between the analysis, if you want to stop just for the purpose of visualization, that can be done. So I go with 60. I say okay. And this is the status screen. Okay, now the model is getting prepared. Now that the topology optimization is complete, we'll just have a look at the component. So this becomes the final component. Okay, so just to have a comparison, this is the initial volume, and this is the final meshed volume. Okay, so the initial volume was again from a CAD model, and this is the final volume which we are getting out of a topology optimization solution, considering some of the optimization constraints. So now we also have an option like, okay, if is this optimized volume enough, or do I need to add some more material? So I have this option of going and selecting. If required, I can go and add few, I mean, more volume to it, or I can even reduce it if required. Okay, but then if I am not sure, then I'll better go with the auto option. So this is the final meshed optimized volume which is available for the next process, which is going to be a metal printing process. Okay, now we cannot just simply take this as the final output geometry file for the further processes. So what we'll have to do is that there's an option known as smoothing, so wherein we'll go and select standard and then generate. Okay, so what this basically does is that it will try to smoothen all these surfaces. The reason why you see a kind of patched surfaces when it comes to aesthetics, it doesn't look that good, is the reason is that all these are meshed surfaces. Okay, so we'll try to make it smooth. So I go to generate. So here is the status. So it basically says it needs 3 hours and 10 minutes, but it should not take more. It should get completed within, let's say, 10 minutes or so. It's just in prediction. So this is the final output of surface smoothing, where of course it is evident that from the mesh surface it has created a 3D geometry, a 3D volume. Okay, so this is how a 3D volume would look like. Now the other advantage is that this volume can also be imported into a CAD model, and then let's say if I want to make this as a proper cylindrical shape, and all those steps can also be done. So surface can be reworked in CAD model, okay, in CAD modeling softwares. So with this we finish this particular operation, wherein this is the most optimized operation, where from 2 kgs to 300 grams is the kind of weight reduction with the highest stiffness. So just to summarize what is that we have done, we basically had one a part, we understood its physics, so wherein we had to have 4 bolts, and then we had to have a hinge joint here with a titanium as the material. Then we prepared a model where we actually started with partition. We created partitions to say to the software that this is the region which should not be touched, which is a frozen region. So these are the functional regions actually. Okay. Then we constrained all these holes with a bolt connector, and we also applied bearing load here. So to replicate the realistic load, which is actually from the extra levers which are connected here, okay, which will actually swing to a particular degree, so which is nothing but from this surface to this surface. So we took that as an input here in terms of bearing load, and then we did the basic FE analysis, where we basically studied, okay, what is the amount of displacement, and as well as the Voigt masses. So Voigt masses is nothing but water value that you get in Voigt masses needs to be compared with the stress strain curve, wherein it should not go beyond the yield limit of this material, which is titanium. Okay, if it's within the yield limit, and if the factor of safety is satisfied, then we can of course go and proceed with the topology optimization process. So we again did all the pre-processing for this particular model. Then we applied titanium as a material. All boundary condition, loading condition was done. We again meshed the model. The where meshing is a process of subdividing an unknown shape into known shape, so that it becomes easy for us to do the mathematical calculations which are required. So which is actually taken care by the solver. Okay, so each and every element is considered for solving, for the mathematical solving. So once that is done, it gives you the stress and displacement plots, wherein you can again compare it just to study whether the component has passed, or is there any additional stuff to be done to increase the stiffness of the part. Later, what we did is that we created some optimization tasks, so which is by controlling the thickness, and also we did a partition, which is just because this part is symmetric, so we can ask the software to just utilize one quadrant of this part so that it can do the computation little faster and then mirror it in all rest of the directions. So this becomes the most optimized shape wherein we can evidently show that okay, there's enough amount of mass reduction with good amount of stiffness. So this becomes an input to a CAD modeling software for the further processes. Thank you.